Ngayon din, halos lahat ng consultations, because I would say like 9 out of 10 consultations now are really PR related.
Yeah.
So, pahirapan na nga siya pagdating sa paghanap ng PR.
Hey guys, you're in a nutshell with me, Inan. Naku, ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon, alam nyo naman, sa panahon kung kailan napaka-competitive sa mga applications to become permanent residents. Marami nagtatanong, anong backup plan mo? Anong backup plan? Paano kung hindi ka ma-draw-draw? Paano kung palagay mo, naku, hindi ka abot sa cut-off scores, yung mga ganyan? Anong backup plan mo? Yan ang ating pag-uusapan in this episode. Ang guest natin, meron siya mga suggestions that you might want to look into if problemado ka, no? Maging permanent resident. Ayan. Welcome back to In a Nutshell, si Attorney Lou Dangzalan. Thank you so much. He is an immigration lawyer, guys. Ayan, based po sa Toronto. I will put his contact information down there sa description box, ha, if you wanna contact him. Hi, Lou!
Maraming salamat sa papaunlak ulit, Ina.
Ayan.
Diba Tagalog na Tagalog?
Oo nga. Sige, Lou, naku, I'm sure, many people go to you and ask, Lou, parang nahihirapan ako. Sobrang tight ng competition ngayon, limited ang slots, of every province. I understand you have some suggestions, you want some people to look into certain maybe options or pathways if they want better chances to become permanent residents. Yung isa na una palang pag-uusapan namin, guys, ako medyo naniniwala din ako dito, sabi ko nga kay Lou, I've had an episode about this before, but I want to stress it further now. Okay, learning French. Okay, Lou, when you tell somebody this, sabihin nila, that's so crazy. Ang hirap naman ng pinapagawa mo, mag-aaral ako ng French.
Pero una sa lahat, yung pag-uproot ng buhay ninyo sa Pilipinas, pagpunta nyo sa ibang bansa, hindi ba mahirap din ito? I understand that it's in English, di ba? Pero kung meron tayong spirit of adventure, as they say in French, l'esprit d'aventure, isa to sa mga key themes ng Canada. So why not keep an open mind to it, di ba? And I'll give you a concrete example. Meron akong isang client na nanganganib dahil let's say yung PGWP niya ay 2 years na lang natitira, tapos wala siyang concrete way for getting an invitation to apply under express entry. So sabi namin, well, there are several ways to, basically make an omelette, but we have to attack it properly. So sabi namin, ano bang interest mo? So it turns out na meron siyang interest for languages. So sabi namin, so what do you say about learning French? Sabi namin, well, if you can pick up French up to CLB5 equivalent, basically, NCLC5 yung tawag nila in French, but let's just say CLB5 for equivalency para maintindihan ng mga tao, diba? Kasi 1 to 10 yan, diba? So CLB5, you can realistically get to CLB5 if you do continuous studies of French, of learning French for a year. Ginagawa ito ng client namin, and our client did 2 classes per week, tapos self-study of once a week. So, 2 times in the weekdays, tapos weekend activities, homeworks, ganon. And nung nag-test siya 1 year after, we were just asking for CLB5. Abay, pumalo sa CLB7 yung mga scores niya except for one factor. Di ba 4 factors yung parati, di ba? Reading, writing,
listening,
listening, etc. So, pumalo siya ng 7 out of the 4 categories except for writing. Writing is a bit complicated in French, to be fair. Pero andun siya, 6 out of 10. So, isa na lang, di ba? 1 point. Sabi namin, actually, konti na lang, pwede ka nang pumalo sa sa Francophone draws under the category based. Kasi alam naman natin sa express entry, di ba, merong category based. So yung mga sumusubaybay sa express entry, yung pinaka-latest draw as of February 25, Francophone draw. Naglabas sila ng 6,000 invitations. The cutoff score was in the 420s. So,
Okay.
from a competitiveness standpoint, karamihan ng Pinoy, meron ng 440s kung may full bachelor's ka, 3 years of work experience in the Philippines. Ngayon, kung madadagdagan mo ng skilled work experience in Canada for 1 year, papalo ka ng mga 490, ganyan.
Oo.
So, 425 is not an unrealistic score for a lot of people, di ba? So, dalawa yung language test na isasubmit mo, English and French. Na bukod pa doon, Ina, ito yung hindi masyadong pinapansin ng mga tao. Napansin ko, hindi rin binabanggit to ng mga ibang lawyers or consultants kasi nakafocus sila sa English. As a proud French speaker din kasi, ina-advocate ko rin personally na, paluin natin to, kaya to. In 1 year, tingin ko kaya nyo mag-CLB5.
Okay.
Diba? Kung kaya mag-CLB...
What are they able to achieve if ma-meet nila yung 5? Kasi dun sa Francophone Mobility, 7 yata yung kailangan dun di ba, Lou? O kung 5 lang.
Francophone category-based sa express entry for PR, it's 7. Yeah. Pero yung Francophone mobility is interesting kasi yung Francophone mobility is for a work permit. Di ba, Ina, alam natin ang work permit kailangan ng LMIA. Itong Francophone mobility work permit does not need an LMIA. So gone are these problems that we have na walang LMIA sa metropolitan area na ito dahil mataas ang unemployment, dahil low wage, etc., etc. Forget about that. Kung Francophone ka at CLB5 and you're applying for a job Tier 0 up to Tier 5, they don't care. Yes, up to Tier 5, they don't care. As long as you get CLB5 in French, tapos meron kang employer na willing to support you. So it's still a closed work permit, pero LMIA exempt. So imagine that. Imagine that. Wala kang competition sa LMIA. Meron na siguro siyang mga ilang taon, pero nung in-expand nila sa Tier 4 and 5, medyo bago lang siya. Sa mga 2 to 3 years. Ganun. Meron na talagang Francophone mobility permits noon pa. Pero ito nga, in-extend nila sa Tier 4 and 5, hindi nila ginagalaw kasi may mandato ang gobyerno. According to the Official Languages Act of Canada, as it interacts with immigration policy, ang intake dapat at the federal level for Francophone immigration, there has to be a minimum of 4%. Kaya kung nagtataka kayo, bakit draw sila ng Francophone? It's because of that. Kasi may mandato ang gobyerno. Ni-legislate po ito.
Grabe So, ibig mo,
yes.
Para siyang magiging Lamia exempt ka kung meron kang CLB5 sa French.
Correct.
Wow.
So, kailangan mo lang ng support.
Oo. At the very least, doon sa applicant bali ni Lou na namumroblema na PGWP, kumbaga, kung maubusan siya ng oras, work permit na siya. Easily. Exactly. Parang gano'n. Kung sino man yung employer niya.
May bonus round pa ako dyan. Same employer. May bonus round pa ako. Di ba kapag express entry, sinasabi nila kadalasan, kapag may LMIA support ka, meron kang extra 50 points?
Yeah, Wala na ngayon Wala na yata.
Wala na, tatanggalin na, di ba? Pero actually, kung titignan mo yung rules under express entry, hindi naman sinabing LMIA, di ba? Sabi valid job offer. Tapos hyperlink yan, di ba? Pag clinic mo yung valid job offer, makikita nila na kung ikay may work permit na supported by an LMIA or your LMIA exempt, except for PGWP. Kasi kung hindi, lahat may 50 points, di ba? So, yung mga open work permit, hindi sila eligible. Pero yung mga work permit na LMIA exempt, meaning C21 or C20 work permits, yung reciprocity, yung significant benefits, yung para sa small businesses, for example, sa investor visas na may special LMIA exemption, kasama rin po dito ang Francophone Mobility Program. So kung kayo naka-Francophone Mobility Program, maaring meron kayong extra 50 points under express entry. On top of the bilingualism points that you get. So truly, alam mo, I've been saying this for like about 1.5 years to 2 years now, ever since that they tweak the program for express entry, tinaas rin bilingualism points. French really is the future. Or if you want to kind of like make sure na hindi kayo mga nganib na meron kayong mga options sa express entry, it's French. And again, from the perspective of is it doable? Well, Exhibit A ko is yung client ko. Nagawa niya in a year na nakaabot siya. CLB5 lang hinihingi namin. Nakaabot siya ng 7 halos lahat. Okay. So, konting kembot na lang siya ngayon, malapit na. So, malapit na naming maipalo yung kanyang extension for work permit. Tapos once na nakuha na namin yan, one step at a time, papunta na kami ng permanent residence.
Okay. Ang CLB5, Lou, can you describe to us how fluent na ba yun? Ano ba yun? Sabihin nila, ang taas yun, mataas ba yun?
Right.
Yeah, how good should you be?
According to the equivalency chart na ginagamit ng Canada at saka ng European Union, ito yung tinatawag na B2. Kung parang Griego pa rin ito para sa inyo, actually yung B2 is usually yung ginagamit na batayan for university admissions. So intermediate advanced po siya. So hindi po siya biro. Ang CLB7 kasi, ito yung C1 tinatawag. Kapag kumuha kayo ng IELTS, for example, makikita nyo yung score nyo sa IELTS. Diba? Pero kapag tinignan nyo yung corner sa right, merong European Framework Equivalency yan. Nakalagay C1, C2, or A1, A2, B1, B2. B2 is usually the middle of the advanced, the higher advanced, or rather higher intermediate rather, na minimum for university admissions. So, kailangan working proficiency ito. C1 kasi is native na. Ganun.
Yeah. So, ganito lang yun guys eh. Yeah. If kakayanin nyo yun. If other option kasi is baka mapauwi kayo, di ba? Yeah. Ganun lang yun. And also, is it expensive to study French, Lou?
Well, wala pong sponsorship pero ito pong Alliance Française, it's a French cultural institution that mission nila is to spread French culture and language. Meron po silang school sa Manila, sa Makati, malapit po sa Canadian Embassy actually. At meron silang magandang modules na ino-offer on a self-study basis.
Online.
Na pwede nyo gawin online. So, meron silang mga virtual classes na syempre may inis lang kayo sa time difference, pero meron silang mga modular classes na pwede nyong trabahuhin kung weekend kapag may time kayo, di ba? So, pwede siya. So, advice ko actually, as soon as, even before pa lang kayo, paalis pa lang kayo papuntang Canada, simulan nyo na to, di ba? Tapos madaming mga ways dyan, mga online classes na pwedeng makuha. Kaya kung gusto nyo ng in-person classes, inside Canada, check nyo lang yung mga language schools, meron naman talaga. Meron din sa Alliance Française sa Toronto tsaka sa Vancouver, meron din sa Ottawa. Kung nasa Montreal naman kayo, madaming private providers, even the University of Montreal, University of Quebec, Université de Québec à Montréal, McGill, Concordia, they all have French language courses designed for foreign learners of the language. So it's not important. Actually, shout out, I took up courses sa Alliance Toronto. I also took courses sa Montreal. So I'm not a native speaker, pero funny enough, under Ontario law, I'm considered a francophone because I completed my bachelor's in law, or my law degree rather, in French. So yeah, I'm another testament to this. Ako yung exhibit B.
Okay. Actually, alam mo, naalala ko, because you mentioned, siguro lalo na yung mga nasa Pilipinas pa, mag-French na kayo dun pa lang. I talked to somebody, shout out kay Manong Jovi, I don't know if you're gonna watch this. Sabi niya, alam mo, mag-aral kayo ng French in the Philippines, goal nyo talaga yung CLB7.
Yes.
Okay, hindi yung 5-7 talaga para pasok kayo dun sa Francophone Mobility, what do you call it? Baka magkamali ako dun sa
Francophone draws ito. For Express Entry.
It would be way cheaper than coming to Canada as an international student. Tapos hindi ka na mag-aaral sa Canada, hindi ka na mag-PGWP dahil...
Correct.
Oo, pero Lou, ano bang chances kapag CLB7 ka na? I mean, yung draws for the Francophone Mobility category, ano ba yun? Medyo, dapat ba makakampante kahit papano ang isang tao pag may CLB7 siya?
Kung may CLB7 siya, yun yung minimum requirement to qualify for that category-based draw. The question then becomes, yung ibang factors ba niya babalanse? So in other words, mataas din ba yung human capital factors niya? So as I mentioned, yung pinaka-recent Francophone category draw is nasa 420s. And again, let's take 2 steps back. Yung typical Filipino profile na bachelor's graduate, let's say from UST, tapos nakapagtrabaho sa isang bangko sa Ayala Avenue in a skilled position, let's say tier 1 for 5 years. So kung graduate siya ng 20 years old, for example, or 21, so nasa 26 siya, full age points pa siya at this point, di ba? Tapos let's say, nag-take itong tao ito ng CELTIP, nakakuha siya 9s across the board, or let's just say 10, kaya naman yan kung tatrabuhin at lalampasuhin talaga. Tapos meron siyang CLB7, nasa ng score niya yan kapag kaganyan. Kung wala pa yung CLB7 sa French, tapos may 3 years experience minimum, professional, tier 1, tapos bachelor's nga, tapos 10s across the board for language. Pumapalo na yung score nitong candidate na to sa Express Entry at around 440 to 450. Okay. So, kung dagdagan mo pa siya ng French, CLB7, makakakuha pa siya ng bilingualism points. Minimum of 25 points. So, let's say 445 ang kanyang points. Plus 25 minimum. So, nasa 470s na tayo. Diba? Kung talagang mataas yung French score niya, pwede siya pumalo ng CLB 9, CLB 10. May 50 points siya. So, ilan yun? Nasa 490s na tayo. Versus yung previous draw, 425. And if you look at the range of the scores for Francophone, it really depends kung gaano karaming invitations. Pero usually, naglalaro ito between 350 to 450 for French. Diba? This is reminiscent of Express Entry back in 2017 to 2019. Last time ako nakakita ng general draw na 440s was like in 2018 actually.
So, okay. Obviously, there's no guarantee. There's never any guarantee for any pathway. Pero, ayun, consider the other factors that will contribute to your overall score.
Correct.
Yeah, guys, think about it. Tsaka yung mga nandito palalo, na sabihin mo na lang, 2 years na lang, PGWP, like your client. Or, naka-work permit, nangangamba, mag-e-expire. Can they do it from any province? Meron bang limitation sa province?
That's a good question. So Express Entry, as most people would know, is across Canada except for Quebec. Quebec has its own immigration system. Syempre sa IRCC rin ang huling bagsak nito, pero wala pong Express Entry for Quebec. Iba po yung sistema nila. Tawag nila ARIMA, which is kind of equivalent but not the same. Yung Francophone mobility work permits, di naman ako pupunta ng Quebec. Yun yung kadalasan sinasabi sa akin kapag binibring up ko to. Teka lang po. Hindi po para sa Quebec ang Francophone mobility work permits na pinag-usapan natin. Ito po ay for anywhere in Canada except for Quebec. Isn't it ironic na naghanap sila ng CLB5, ng French speaker? It's because Canada wants to encourage Francophone immigration to other parts of Canada outside Quebec.
Yeah.
So nagtatry po sila mag-achieve ng balance.
Ayan guys. So actually sobrang na-amaze ako dun sa Lamia exempt. Tapos makakuha ka ng work permit. 'Di ba? Ganun lang. Kasi guys, lalo na ngayon, it takes several months also to process Lamia. Kaya,
that's assuming na open. Kasi meron mga refusal to process right now, 'di ba?
Correct. Yun pa pala, yung mga limitations for low wage, etc. Wala na lahat yun if you know CLB5 lang diba?
CLB5. Doable, 1 year. So paano kung may 3 years PGWP ka? Tabawin natin, kaya yan. Tsaka, ito from a career perspective, kung mapunta kayo sa public sector, halimbawa you work for the government of Ontario, there's usually a bilingualism bonus if you speak basic French. Yung mga sahod, meron.
Aba! Tignan nyo. Dami palang benepisyo, no?
It opens doors in Canada if you speak both official languages.
Yeah. And it's not bad the schedule, yung sinabi ni Lou kanina. It's just, twice a week?
Classes twice. Tapos self-study once a weekend, for example.
Oo nga. Tsaga lang, guys. Sige, another plan B. Next na tayo, tapos na tayo dyan sa French. Medyo complicated to kahit ako medyo nako-confuse Lou. So, tell us about itong pathway expression of interest program offered by some provinces in Canada, not all provinces. Ano ba yan? And is this something that's basically unexplored by many Filipinos?
I wouldn't say it's unexplored, pero siguro take tayo ng 3 steps back. So, itong expression of interest na binanggit mo is actually, similar to express entry. Express entry is a type of an expression of interest and that mag-signify ka sa government na interesado ka. Kaya nga expression of interest, diba? So, in other words, it's one of the buckets or programs or intake systems rather ng various provincial nomination programs. So Canada's split into 10 provinces plus 3 territories with the exception of Quebec, no PNPs. But all of these jurisdictions would have their provincial or territorial nomination programs. And conceptually, pwede mo silang i-group in 3. And very briefly, meron mga direct PNP applications. Gaya ng sa British Columbia, you have the healthcare or health authority stream, for example. Kailangan mo lang ng endorsement. You go get your nomination and you apply for PR right away.
Okay.
Meron din tayong anong tawag dito? Meron din tayong mga PNPs na competitive under expression of interest. Ito na nga yung sinasabi natin. Na gagawa ka ng profile na parang express entry din. So, example, OINP. They have an EOI. Tapos isuscore ka rin nila kagaya ng express entry. Tapos may bunutan din. Ngayon, kung yung score mo is sufficient, makakakuha ka ng invitation to apply for nomination. Yun yung expression of interest. So, Manitoba has it. British Columbia has it. Alberta is starting to experiment with it. Saskatchewan has it. Nova Scotia has it to a certain extent. And you can see na karamihan ng western provinces, west of Quebec, meron na. Yung mga Atlantic provinces, papunta pa lang. And there's a reason for that because popular destinations po kasi yung mga provinces west of Quebec. Ito pong Atlantic region, hindi po ganun ka-popular in terms of destination, kaya hindi pa nila kailangan i-manage yung incoming traffic. I remember the time nung yung Canada wala pang express entry. Diretsong apply for FSW or for CEC. Imagine that. Pero ang consequence, yung processing time for FSW, pumapalo siya ng 7 years, Ina. Imagine, nagsubmit ka ng application for PR, FSW, na-meet mo yung qualifications. 2007. Babalikan ka ng immigration ng 2014. Eh baka nakapag-asawa ka na, nanganak ka na, na-promote ka na ng napakataas na position. Eh, para kinaya-abandon mo yung life mo. Ibang-iba na yung circumstances mo, diba? So, yun yung dahilan kung bakit in-introduce yung express entry noong 2014 to 2015 to manage the supply of incoming traffic. So, nangyayari na rin ito sa mga provinces. So, ito yung EOI. Yung question mo kanina, is it mostly used by Pinoys, our kababayans? The answer is yes, actually. But it did not used to be like their first reflex. Madami sa kanila express entry, CEC. Yung iba, traditional PNP na direct application, yung pinag-usapan natin kanina. Yung third bucket, finally, very briefly din ulit, is yung tinatawag natin na express entry-related PNPs. Meron din po sa Ontario niyan. So, gagawa lang po kayo ng, halimbawa for Ontario, gagawa kayo ng express entry profile, federal. Tapos, dun sa application ninyo for creating a profile, meron pong question dun. Would you like your information shared with the provinces for potential consideration sa PNP? If you answer yes, you can consent to it. Papadala yung information mo sa Ontario. Case in point, I've had several clients na isa dentist, yung isa advertising professional. Nakakuha sila ng notification from the province of Ontario. And sabi nila, yung NOC ninyo match sa mga needs namin dito sa Ontario. Would you be interested with the certificate? So yung dalawang client na sinabi ko sa inyo, yung dentist, okay na siya, swak na. Kasi the same week, nakakuha siya ng invitation through express entry, through healthcare-based category. Swerte! Same week, nakakuha siya ng dalawang invitation. Yung isa naman yung advertising professional, tinanggap niya kasi wala siyang category-based chances eh. So kinuha niya yung nomination. And I can tell you na yung process for OINP is actually mas madugo pagdating sa pag-prove ng employment requisites mo, for example, to prove the legitimacy of your previous experience in the past compared sa normal standards na ina-apply sa express entry. So it really varies from province to province kasi si British Columbia mas chill kesa sa Ontario. And meron din sa Yukon, for example, final example. Sa Yukon naman, diretso ka mag-a-apply sa Yukon, pero i-ride nila sa express entry. So in other words, hindi siya direct PNP application, but rather, it's a PNP application, tapos i-go signal ka ni province or ng territory of Yukon rather. Tapos after that, pwede ka na mag-create na express entry profile. Tapos habang kino-construct mo yung profile mo, may question sa express entry, do you have a certificate of nomination from a province? Kapag clinic mong yes, tas doon mo ipapasok yung slot na yun, yung certificate of nomination mo from UConn. And then you get the 600 points.
Wow, ang laki nung
Oo,
extra.
Yeah, so ganun yung mga express entry related PNPs. Dadagdagan nila ng 600 points yung CRS score.
Okay. If they already have a pending express entry profile, is it easy to just click on that button that you talked about, yung share information with other provinces?
Absolutely, yeah. Just go back to your profile and actually merong option dun to click all provinces. I always recommend to click all provinces even if dead set na kayo for British Columbia or for Ontario. Hindi nyo alam di ba?
Yeah.
Malay mo, merong ma-offer sa'yo from Manitoba and talagang, let's say, talagang yun na yung final chance mo, di ba? Tapos meron dumating, abay, bakit kayo hindi? Di ba? At that point, talagang gusto mo magstay.
Correct. Oo nga. So, be ready to move in case lang you are picked there. All right. Oy, Lou, thanks so much
You're welcome.
Yeah. O sana guys, meron kayong nakuhang mga tips. Again ako talaga, go French. Or baka easier said than done Pero yeah, nakakatuwa din to learn a new language. Ako sa kakausap nga din ulit namin ni Lou, minsan napapaisip din ako why not? Diba? May advantages. Nandito naman tayo sa Canada, diba? Yeah.
Correct. Officially, it's officially bilingual, English and French, equal siya. And again, as I said, it's not just for immigration. It opens up doors down the road if you're, looking for professional planning and career planning.
Yeah. In closing na lang pala, Lou, etong usapan ng pagkakaroon ng Plan B, kamusta ba, let's say, yung mga clients mo, how tough is it really now? Yung mga situation ng mga applicants for PR. Actually, kahit hindi na PR just to be able to stay here.
The pressure is definitely there. Mas ramdam ko siya with consultations. I can tell you that from 2023 to 2024, dumoble yung consultations ko from year on year. And even now, from 2024, comparing to the same period now in 2025, dumoble ulit yung consultations ko.
Grabe.
And a lot of them, I would say, kasi noong 2023, varia parati yung aking mga consultation. Hindi lang siya PR. Pero in 2024, nakita namin na yung 80% of our consultations were like, Lou, how do we get PR? How do we get from point A to point B? Ngayon din, halos lahat ng consultations, because I would say like 9 out of 10 consultations now are really PR related.
Yeah.
So, pahirapan na nga siya pagdating sa paghanap ng PR. It's ultimately a math problem.
Yeah. Ay, nako. O, kaya ayun sana makatulong tong episode natin for those who are worried about their pathways to PR. Okay, we'll end this topic here and this episode here as usual. Thanks so much, Lou. His contact information are down there in the description box. Okay, in case you want to book a consultation din with Lou. Kahit na puno na siya, I'm sure meron pa siyang room.
We'll do our best. We're training someone new din kasi in order to take in more consultations.
Yeah.
Daming mga kababayan nangangailangan din talaga ng ng proper guidance.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks, Lou. Bye.
Take care. Bye.